What if everything you thought about saving money was actually holding you back? In 2026, keeping your cash in the bank may feel safe, but it could be quietly destroying your wealth. Today, we're exposing the truth banks don't want you to know, why saving alone won't make you rich, and how the real path to financial freedom is through assets that work for you. In 2026, saving money is still portrayed as the ultimate safe strategy. From childhood, we are taught to earn, spend carefully, and place a portion of our income in a bank. It is presented as responsible, disciplined, and smart. Yet, while this advice feels sound, it carries hidden consequences that many overlook. The truth is, saving money alone will not secure wealth. It often works against you. Banks position themselves as guardians of financial security. They market savings accounts as safe havens, providing liquidity and modest interest. On the surface, it appears logical. After all, a bank account is insured, convenient, and seemingly growing. But what is rarely discussed is that banks benefit far more from your deposits than you do. When you deposit money, it isn't idle. The bank uses your funds to lend, invest, and generate substantial returns. Meanwhile, the interest you earn is a fraction of what the bank makes. Essentially, your money works for them while doing very little for you. Over time, this gap can have a massive impact on wealth accumulation. One of the most overlooked factors is inflation. Inflation erodes the purchasing power of money slowly but steadily. If your savings account interest is below inflation, your money loses value year after year. In other words, keeping money in the bank may feel safe, but it often guarantees slow financial decline. This is where assets come into play. Unlike savings, assets generate income or appreciate over time. Stocks, real estate, businesses, and other investments allow money to grow actively. Assets are working money, money that produces returns and compounds over time. Savings are passive, but assets are active. Banks rarely emphasize the importance of asset ownership. Why? Because assets reduce your reliance on the banking system. When you own assets, your money leaves the passive environment that banks profit from. Banks benefit when you remain a saver. They lose control when you deploy capital independently. In 2026, opportunities to own assets are more accessible than ever. Digital investment platforms, online businesses, and marketplaces have reduced traditional barriers. Yet, many people remain trapped in the mindset of saving, believing it is the safest route to wealth. The irony is that what feels safe, keeping money in a bank, is often riskier than strategically investing in assets. Safety is an illusion when the value of your money diminishes while the system around you grows. Real financial growth requires a different approach, shifting from being a saver to an asset owner. This shift is not about abandoning saving entirely. Emergency funds are essential. Safety nets protect against unexpected life events. But relying solely on saving as a strategy for long-term wealth is outdated. The real game in 2026 is leveraging money to generate more money, transforming savings into assets that compound and grow. Once you understand this, it becomes clear why traditional advice has rarely told the full story. Banks prefer savers, not asset owners. They want your money parked in accounts, quietly fueling their profit. And while they make money, your potential wealth diminishes over time. To understand why savings alone are insufficient, we need to examine the flow of money within banks. Deposits are the lifeblood of banking institutions. When you deposit money, you are not simply storing it for safety, you are providing the bank with capital they can use to generate profit. Banks operate on a system known as fractional reserve banking. They keep a small portion of deposits in reserve and lend out the rest. The same funds can be used multiple times through loans, credit, and investments, creating layered revenue streams for the bank. Meanwhile, the depositor receives minimal interest. The bank profits far more than the saver. This system creates an inherent imbalance. Your money grows slowly, if at all, while the bank multiplies your funds exponentially. Over decades, this difference is staggering. The longer you rely solely on savings, the more you subsidize the bank's operations without substantial benefit. Assets flip this dynamic. When you invest in assets, you deploy capital into vehicles designed to produce returns. Stocks allow you to own a piece of a company and earn dividends. Real estate produces rental income and appreciates in value. Businesses generate cash flow independent of your daily work. Unlike savings, assets actively work to grow your wealth. The 2026 landscape amplifies this advantage. Digital platforms, online investment tools, and global marketplaces have made it easier than ever for ordinary people to access previously exclusive asset opportunities. Knowledge and access are no longer the barriers, they are awareness and execution. Yet, psychological factors prevent many from transitioning to assets. Savings feel safe because the account balance is fixed and accessible. Assets fluctuate in value, creating a sense of uncertainty. But this perceived risk is misleading. While savings erode slowly due to inflation, assets, though volatile, tend to grow over time and often outpace inflation. Banks benefit from this mindset. They profit when you prefer predictable, low-risk accounts instead of exploring growth opportunities. They rarely educate customers on asset ownership because it conflicts with their interests. Understanding this is crucial for anyone serious about financial independence. Moving from saver to asset owner is not about being reckless. It is about understanding the trade-off between stability and growth. Every dollar left idle in a bank has an opportunity cost. It could be deployed in a stock, a property, or a business that generates income. That is where the power of assets lies. Working capital continuously compounding over time. True financial freedom requires a shift in perspective. You must see money as a tool, not a static resource. When deployed strategically, it generates additional income streams, creates leverage, and builds long-term wealth. The sooner this shift occurs, the greater the advantage. Ultimately, the difference between savers and asset owners in 2026 is significant. Savers maintain money that slowly loses value. Asset owners leverage money to create exponential growth. Awareness, education, and action separate those who accumulate wealth from those who merely preserve it. One of the most powerful distinctions between saving and owning assets is leverage. When you save, every dollar requires effort to earn. Your money sits passively, accruing minimal interest, while inflation gradually erodes its value. With assets, however, a single dollar can generate multiple streams of income, working for you continuously. Consider dividend-paying stocks. When you purchase shares, you acquire part ownership of a company. If the company grows, its value increases, and you earn dividends. You are no longer trading hours for money. Your capital is generating returns independently. Real estate operates similarly. Tenants pay rent, which produces cash flow, while the property appreciates over time. Businesses, too, can scale beyond your personal effort, producing revenue long after the initial work has been done. In 2026, digital technology has drastically widened access to these opportunities. Online investment platforms allow even small investors to participate in stock markets, index funds, or fractional real estate ownership. Digital businesses, content creation, and online marketplaces provide avenues for income that were previously exclusive to high net worth individuals. Access is no longer the barrier. Awareness and execution are. Despite these advantages, many people hesitate due to perceived risk. Saving feels predictable, while asset ownership introduces uncertainty. Prices fluctuate, markets shift, and businesses face competition.
However, avoiding risk entirely is risk itself. Savings accounts, particularly those earning below inflation, are guaranteed to lose purchasing power over time. Volatility in assets, although uncomfortable, offers growth that savings simply cannot match.
Compounding further amplifies the difference. Savings interest compounds slowly and minimally, often unable to outpace inflation. Asset returns, even when reinvested conservatively, have the potential to grow exponentially. Two individuals could start with the same amount of money. The saver leaves it in a low-interest account. The asset owner invests strategically, reinvesting dividends and income. Over a decade or two, the gap between them can be massive. This is why understanding compounding and asset growth is essential in building wealth. Banks have little incentive to promote this understanding. Encouraging asset ownership reduces their capital base and shifts economic power toward the individual. This isn't a conspiracy. It is the nature of their business model. Your deposits fuel their operations, and the longer your money remains idle, the more they benefit. Awareness of this fact is crucial for anyone serious about financial independence. Transitioning from saving to owning assets is not reckless. It is strategic. It requires knowledge, planning, and consistent action. You must identify assets that align with your risk tolerance, goals, and time horizon. Diversification, research, and long-term thinking are key. By understanding this, you move from being a passive participant in the financial system to an active wealth creator. In 2026, the difference between savers and asset owners is more pronounced than ever. Technology, global markets, and digital platforms have accelerated growth for those willing to take calculated risks. The sooner you embrace this approach, the sooner you can break free from the limitations of traditional saving. Ultimately, wealth is not built by storing money. It is built by deploying it. Assets are the tools that allow money to work, grow, and compound. Savings alone cannot accomplish this. Understanding and acting on this distinction is the first step toward true financial empowerment. Control is another critical advantage assets provide over savings. When your money sits in a bank, you may believe you have full access. Yet in reality, your control is limited by systemic constraints, withdrawal restrictions, fees, fluctuating interest rates, and currency fluctuations imposed by external policies. Even insured deposits are subject to inflation, diminishing purchasing power silently over time. Assets, in contrast, give you autonomy. Owning property, stocks, or a business allows you to dictate how your capital is used. You decide when to buy, sell, reinvest, or leverage. Digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and decentralized finance platforms amplify this control by reducing reliance on centralized institutions. While these carry risks, they represent a growing alternative to traditional banking. Banks operate centrally and benefit from predictability. They prefer customers to remain savers because it guarantees them a steady source of funds. Conversely, asset owners reduce dependency on banks. By investing in real-world assets or digital systems, individuals take capital out of the bank-controlled environment. This shift challenges traditional financial models and accelerates wealth growth for those who embrace it. Diversification plays a key role. By spreading investments across asset types, stocks, real estate, businesses, or digital assets, you reduce exposure to any single failure. Savings accounts offer minimal diversification. One bank's interest rate cannot grow beyond its set limits, leaving money stagnant. Assets, however, allow growth potential in multiple directions simultaneously, balancing risk and reward. Scalability is another critical factor. Savings scale only when you deposit more. Assets, by contrast, can scale independently of time. A well-run business, a growing rental property portfolio, or a successful investment fund can increase returns exponentially without proportionate increases in effort. This is how high net worth individuals build significant wealth, not by earning more, but by letting assets multiply their capital. Education and mindset remain essential.
Many people are not taught to assess, acquire, and manage assets. Traditional schooling focuses on employment, income, and saving, rarely on investing or wealth creation. Breaking free from this cycle requires understanding both risk and opportunity, shifting from the mentality of preserving money to deploying it effectively. Asset ownership also changes your relationship with money. Savings keep you passive, dependent on external systems. Assets make you active, strategic, and adaptable. They allow you to respond to economic changes, leverage opportunities, and maintain purchasing power despite inflation or currency shifts. Banks continue promoting savings because it benefits them. But for individuals, relying solely on savings results in slow growth and eroded purchasing power. Strategic asset ownership, on the other hand, generates independent growth, compounding over time. The sooner you shift mindset from passive saving to active asset deployment, the sooner you gain control over your financial destiny. Ultimately, savings are tools for stability. Assets are tools for growth. Recognizing this distinction, understanding the systemic incentives at play, and taking deliberate action separates wealth creators from passive participants in the financial system. In 2026, this knowledge is more critical than ever. Transitioning from saving to owning assets requires strategy, not extremes. Saving remains important, but only as a foundation. Emergency funds provide stability and cover unexpected expenses, protecting you from financial shocks. These funds are essential, but they should not dominate your long-term plan. Once your safety net is in place, the focus shifts to allocation. Instead of depositing excess income into a bank account, allocate a portion toward assets that generate returns. Stocks, real estate, businesses, and digital investments are all options, each offering different levels of risk, return, and scalability. The key is to identify opportunities that align with your financial goals and time horizon. Diversification is critical. Concentrating investments in a single asset exposes you to unnecessary risk. Spreading capital across multiple assets helps mitigate potential losses while maintaining growth potential. This principle is simple, but often ignored, especially by new investors who may be tempted by high-risk, high-reward opportunities. Balanced allocation ensures stability and growth coexist. Consistency is another vital factor. Wealth is rarely built overnight. Regular contributions to investments, monthly reinvestments of dividends, or incremental property acquisitions compound over time. In 2026, automation makes this process simpler than ever. Investment platforms enable automatic contributions, portfolio rebalancing, and performance tracking, allowing disciplined, consistent growth without constant manual oversight. Knowledge is the most valuable asset in this process. Understanding how various investments work, their risks, potential returns, and tax implications is essential. Blindly investing can be as damaging as not investing at all. Take time to research, learn, and develop a structured plan that aligns with your objectives. Financial literacy is the cornerstone of asset-based wealth. Banks often promote savings-oriented products because these align with their business model. Low-yield accounts, certificates of deposit, and other passive instruments keep your money under their control. These products have value for short-term security, but should not be relied upon for long-term wealth creation. Recognizing their limitations is critical to moving beyond a saver mindset. Mindset transformation is central. Transitioning from a saver to an asset owner requires viewing money not as a static resource to protect, but as a tool to deploy effectively. Instead of asking, "How much can I save?" ask, "How can I make this money work harder?" Each dollar invested strategically can generate income streams that multiply over time. Taking this approach does not require reckless risk-taking. Instead, it emphasizes calculated, informed action. It is about aligning your financial behavior with long-term wealth creation rather than short-term security. Savers focus on preservation. Asset owners focus on growth, control, and leverage.
Ultimately, the people who thrive financially in 2026 are not necessarily those who earn the most, but those who manage capital effectively. They understand that income is only one component of wealth. Strategic deployment, asset acquisition, and disciplined reinvestment are what separate wealth builders from those who merely preserve capital. This understanding lays the groundwork for the final stage, recognizing the systemic truths banks rarely disclose and taking control of your financial future with deliberate, asset-focused strategies. The truth banks do not emphasize is straightforward. Saving alone will not make you wealthy. While it provides security, it rarely generates meaningful growth. The longer your money remains idle, the more it loses purchasing power due to inflation. This silent erosion is a critical risk often overlooked by traditional financial advice. Banks benefit when customers prioritize saving over investing. Deposits give banks the capital to lend, invest, and profit, creating a system where your money fuels their operations more than your wealth. This is not a conspiracy, it is simply how the financial model operates. Awareness of this fact is crucial for anyone seeking long-term independence. Assets, in contrast, allow you to take control. Stocks, real estate, businesses, and digital investments generate returns, appreciate in value, and provide leverage. They allow you to deploy money strategically, turning capital into a workforce capable of producing additional income without requiring proportional effort. This is the essence of financial empowerment, making money work for you rather than the other way around. Diversification and scalability distinguish successful asset owners. Unlike savings, which grow only when you deposit more, assets can multiply independently. Rental income can scale with additional properties. Investments can compound returns over decades. Businesses can expand beyond the efforts of a single individual. This ability to scale sets asset owners apart from savers in a significant and measurable way. Education is indispensable. Many people lack understanding of asset acquisition, investment evaluation, and risk management. Schools often focus on earning and saving, but rarely on strategic wealth creation. Bridging this knowledge gap is a prerequisite for transitioning from passive saver to proactive investor. Mindset is equally vital. Viewing money as a tool for growth rather than a static resource shifts behavior. Instead of hoarding cash for security, asset owners seek opportunities for deployment, reinvestment, and expansion. They focus on long-term compounding and cumulative growth, recognizing that true wealth is measured by the ability of capital to generate more capital. Safety remains important, but it must be redefined. Emergency funds protect against short-term disruptions, but real financial resilience comes from diversified assets, income streams, and ownership of appreciating resources. Saving alone is insufficient to maintain purchasing power or achieve financial freedom. In 2026, the difference between savers and asset owners is more pronounced than ever. Technological access, global markets, and digital platforms have lowered barriers to entry for asset acquisition. Those who embrace these opportunities strategically gain control, flexibility, and compounding growth that savers simply cannot achieve. Ultimately, wealth creation is a deliberate, informed process. Savings are tools for stability. Assets are tools for growth. Understanding this distinction, acting strategically, and leveraging opportunities is the pathway to financial independence. Banks benefit from your savings. You benefit from your assets. Recognizing this reality allows you to reclaim control over your financial future. The path forward is clear. Continue to save for short-term security, but prioritize asset acquisition and growth for long-term wealth. Use money as a tool, diversify intelligently, and embrace compounding. In doing so, you step into a system designed to generate wealth independently, moving beyond the limitations imposed by traditional saving. Wealth is not built by storing money, it is built by deploying it. Savings preserve, assets multiply, and those who understand this truth will thrive in 2026 and beyond. Now you know the truth. Savings alone protect money, but assets grow it. Banks profit when your money sits idle,
But you profit when your money works for you. The choice is clear. Protect your wealth, grow your wealth, and step into financial control. The sooner you shift from saving to owning assets, the sooner you take command of your financial future.